Hello everyone, this is Tina from Tina's Workshop, and today I am going to do a crochet hook review. I've talked about doing this for a while, and I actually have 2, 4, 6, 7 different crochet hooks that I'm going to show you, and I have been using them for a while now, so I could give you a really good idea of things that I personally like and don't like about them. My son got on me because he says, "Mom, you should have recorded yourself as you first used each one." But I wanted to really use them and not just like a real quick thing. I wanted to use them and feel them and then be able to tell you which ones I prefer and how they felt to me and things like that. So I'm going to put you down on the table so you can see the different hooks and the things I like and don't like about them. Okay, so these are my different hooks, and these ones are just kind of in here for the fun of it, but these are all different brands. So you guys all know I'm partial to furls. I love my furls. So this one is a furls. This is their new streamline ones that are all metal, and I've always liked my, where did it go now? Should have had that one out. Hold on. I should have had one sitting right there and I didn't. So this is their Odyssey hook, and they don't make this one anymore. This one has always been my favorite, and the reason that this one has been my favorite is because, let's see, the neck is shorter. So if you bring that down even, do you see how much longer the neck is? And I like to hold my hand up closer, so I like the feel of this one better. And when I'm using one like this, I would want to do that, so I have to have my hand back further. And some people like that. I always liked that shorter neck. So these are my all-time favorite, but you can't get them anymore. But as far as how they work, these two, with your ends and stuff, they are pretty much no different. But that's why these have always been my preferred. I like the shorter neck. Now, that being said, these two, this is the Ophire, and I had heard good things about that, so I had actually bought a couple of them. Lengthwise, they are a little bit shorter, but now let's see, the neck on them is actually pretty much the same. It's the handle more so that's shorter and not so much the neck. This one is a prim hook, and they still have a decent size handle because that's my thing, is I like that ergonomic. Otherwise I can't crochet that long, so I need the ergonomic, and that really does make a difference, I think. So lengthwise, this one's a little bit longer than the Ophire, but it's still not quite as long as the furls. Neck-wise, the neck I think is a little bit shorter. Still longer though than the Odyssey was. So, but it still has a nice feel in the hand. This one is a clover, and this has generally been my go-to one when I've needed a hook size that I haven't had one of these for. And because I can go right to Joann's, I can pick one of these up where I have to order this. Now you can get these other ones. This, the prim, you can get at Michael's, and I think they might be starting to carry them at Joann's. But this one you can get just about anywhere. It doesn't it has the width, but it doesn't have the thickness here. So it's a little bit nicer than just your, you know, thin, you know, an old school thin hook, but it still doesn't have the extra thickness. And lengthwise, is much shorter. It is shorter even than the Odyssey. It does have a very short neck, which I do like that. I like that short neck. And I almost forgot I had 2 more hooks. Okay, so this is my most recent one I picked up. This is a big twist. So this is by Joann's, and it is a very long hook. It's about the length of the furls. It has a very long neck on it. Yeah, very long neck. And yeah, we'll get into that one. This one was done by My Darn Yarn, and this one, it's been so long ago I forget who made this one, but they are both on Instagram, and the hooks they use is usually clover or Bates. So that's why I said these ones are here just for the fun of it, because they are a standard hook. It's just the handles that are different. I will say I do really like the handles she makes. They are nice and comfortable, and she does still sell her hooks. As for this one is really more for the looks, because I mean, it's not terrible, but when you have all these little tiny things that are underneath your hands while you're working, but it is extremely cute. It's got a little tiny crochet hook right there and your little pine cone. It's a very cute hook, but I do not use it unless I can't find another hook. Then these two are Pioneer Women, that's put out by Walmart, and it does have a little bit more of an ergonomic. It's got flat on one side and then curved, and the neck is, the neck's closer to the Odyssey length. I feel like this is not in focus. I hope it's in focus. Okay, I turned it off and back on. I hope it's in focus. So this full length is probably closer to the length of the fire. It's shorter than that one, but it's longer than that one. This is a set that I bought off of Amazon a couple years ago. It was a big set for really cheap. I'm sure you've seen them on there if you've looked. And it again is, it's more similar, the handle's more similar to this, though it's more rubbery, but it's got that width this way but more narrow this way. So it's not too bad to hold. It lengthwise is a little bit shorter than the furls. It's about the length of the prim. The neck, though, again, I like that little bit shorter neck that's on it. So, okay, so now visually, so the original Odysseys, they had a little sticker that would come on the bottom, and a lot of times those would come off. And I have seen people that will do Cricut vinyl cuts and put onto them. I tend to go for a permanent marker a lot of times, though I have only so many, and each one being a different color, I generally know what it is. So my blue one is an H. It's the only blue one I have. But now on their metal streamlines and even on their resin and their wood, they have the letters, the millimeters, it's all engraved right on it. So that is really nice. You pick up your hook, you know what it is. The Ophire does also have theirs engraved on it with the letter and the millimeter. So that's nice. The Prim has it, just the letter. And let's see, come on, focus. Focus. Oh, geez, come on. There we go. So it has the letter right there. It is all in the same color, so it's not super easy to see, but it is there, and it's not going to rub off or something because it is embossed into it. The clover, there's down here says clover, but then here you have your, oh come on, I don't know why my camera's being finicky today. So you have your letter in millimeter here, and it is, I can slightly feel it, but so far, I've used these for a number of years. So far, I've not had an issue with any of them rubbing off, so that's good. Pioneer Women. Now, it took me a while to find it, and I have watched other people's reviews, and they couldn't find it. There is an indent right down here that has the millimeter on it. Doesn't have the letter, it just has the millimeter, and it's right down here, and it's extremely, extremely hard to see. I mean, it took me a while. So then I took a permanent marker and I actually wrote into it, but I still have, believe it or not, some of that will rub off. And then I've written the letter on here too, which does rub off. Maybe if I put some nail polish on it, but I haven't gone that far. These ones are kind of a backup one that I use when I can't find one of my other ones. So really, really hard to see. You would have to do something like this so that you can see it. The Big Twist has it on the back of the hook here. This is one of my newer ones, so I haven't used it for a really long time. I did not notice any issue with that. Honestly, I didn't even notice it was on there until today. But it does have your letter and your millimeter. This one, when I got it, she had actually used one of the Cricut cutouts onto it, which was nice, but after a while that peeled off, which I think would happen on any type of hook, and then I just used a permanent marker on it. This one, she actually stamped it right in. Both of these only had just the letter, not the millimeter. And this one had it stamped here, and you can see how it has been wearing off. Some of mine I've actually gone over them with the permanent marker, which has worn off too. So these do not last for too long. They tend to wear off. You could potentially throw some nail polish on them if you got it, to try and keep it to stay on. Okay, so now that's more of your visual. Now, what I think about them. So I've been using them with this kind of yarn. This is a sport weight yarn. I've been doing with my Wonderland yarns, which I've been doing them for my crochet squares. So this square here, I actually used this hook to do the whole square. And every month we use a size G hook on our squares. So I have been using these different hooks so that I could give you an honest opinion on them. My favorite still is my Furls hook. I do really like their metal hooks. I have tried their wood and their resin ones, and they work fine too. I randomly pick up different ones in different sizes, just to kind of fill out. So I have, I think, like 4 of the Odyssey, 2 H's because that has always been the one I use the most, and I have an F and I have a K. And then I've gotten 2. I have 2 of these. I have a G and I have a J. And I have a couple of these. I've bought the ones that they do, like their oopsie ones. Okay, so these are the oopsies, and they're a lot cheaper, and so I'll buy them sometimes. So I have a few of these resin ones that are in the larger sizes, but even though I love furls, I do not have a ton of them. I have like I said, I have 4 of the Odysseys. I've got this one giant jumbo. I have 3 resins. I have the wooden one, and I have 2 of the metal ones. I try to control myself. And so now and then I treat myself and I buy one. But, okay, so with this one, it is really nice and smooth. You can actually go over to Elise Rose Crochet, and she did a crochet hook review, and her husband actually like measured the smoothness of the different hooks. He's got a machine that he could actually measure that, which was really kind of cool. So they are really, really incredibly smooth, and they just glide through your yarn, and it's so nice. But again, my only complaint is how far back this is, where on the Odyssey I don't have to, I'm not holding it back as far, and I feel much more comfortable. But I do not have a G in this one. I really wish I had gotten a full set of these while they still had them. So this one is still my favorite, just because of how easily it works. It glides. So I recently picked up the O-Fire, and they are a little bit cheaper, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try these. They've got the nice handle on them and everything, and people do seem to really like them. They work okay. They have a very pointy head. I mean, like really, really pointy. Let's see. You see how pointy that is? Very pointy head, getting into your spots. However, being as pointy as it is, it would also be easy to split your yarn. They work pretty nicely, but my complaint is, let's see if you can, if I zoom in, if that'll help. If you can actually see this. Oh, stop wiggling. My boom arm's wiggling. There is a catch. You might even be able to hear it. Hold on, let's see. I don't know if you could hear that. It catches, or it's like, I don't know what it is about this, like sharp edge or something, and it catches on that yarn as you're going through. See, like right here, it wanted to split it. So I don't like how it catches. And you can see when you use this one, there's no catch. So it just glides, and that's my biggest complaint. These are nice to feel. I like the size of them and everything, but I don't like that catch as I'm using it. Now the prim is not as smooth as the first two, definitely not as smooth as the furls. You can almost see it has like a matte finish. There's no shine to it. It's very matte like, and I really wasn't sure about that. And I have some of their knitting needles too, and I was not sure how I would like that. the knitting needles, when I bought them, I needed a size and I couldn't find any other one, and I grabbed them and I wasn't sure, and I actually ended up really liking them. And this one, though it is more of a matte finish, it still actually glides pretty nicely. There is a tactileness to it. It's like I can feel it as it runs through the yarn, but it's not bad. And I think for somebody who is learning, it would actually be great, kind of like how a lot of times people will use the wood ones, because it does catch a little bit. So I think these would be great for somebody beginning. So here, I'll let you hear this one. So you can hear it as it goes through, but it's not hindering. It's not catching like the Fire was. It still glides through nicely. It just has a little bit more toothiness to it. So then the clover. So the clover has a metal hook, which is nice. If it was actually if this handle was a little bit thicker here, it would be like really, really nice. It glides very nicely. I really like the size of it. It has that smaller size that I prefer, so I like that. Runs nicely through the yarn. So there's like no catch on it. It, of course, not as smooth as your furls, but it has still a nice glide to it. So I enjoy using it when I need to. The biggest reason that I don't use them more is the size of the handle on the furls as opposed to this. So now your Pioneer Women. I'm not a big fan of the Pioneer Women one. It's okay. It does have a, you know, a decent little bit of a handle here. And I don't really know what it is that I'm not a huge fan of, but I mean, they work. They do work. And I think for me, I like these bigger handles, and the shorter necks. So it's got a long neck on it. But as far as how well they work, they do work pretty well. They have a basic metal hook to them. There is the tiniest bit of catch. They're not honed as well as some of the others. So I'll let you hear that. Hopefully this actually works so you can hear it. So there is a little bit of catch, a little bit of toothiness to the metal. It's just not polished as finely. This one is the Big Twist. I honestly really am not a fan of this one. I did that whole square. I gave it an honest go. But as you work, for me, the way I hold this, as I work it, my finger is rubbing right here. And this, let's see if I can get a focus. You see that? There is like an edge right there. It's got a decent little, it's not smooth, and it rubs right onto your finger as you use it. And then it's got this extremely long neck. It is more of a matte finish. It's metal, but it is a matte finish. It glides okay. It has a tiny bit of toothiness like the Pioneer Woman, kind of a combination between the Pioneer Woman and the Prim. But it just doesn't slide quite as smoothly as the Prim does to me. But I think my biggest thing is where that's rubbing on my finger the whole time. But I'll let you hear this one. So you can really hear that one catch. Okay, do this one next. So this is the ones off of Amazon. They have a nice smooth metal hook. They have a shorter neck, which I like, but a very long handle. Similar to the clover, you've still got this thinness. So if it was this width, it would be different, but it's this thinness here. And for me, I don't care for that as much. This does rub a little bit on your finger, but it's a little smoother than the big twist ones. The big twists are just very rough. And depending on way you hold your hook, it might be different for you. This is just the way I hold mine. And here's the sound. So it does run smoother than the big twist and of course the Prim, and I think it runs a little smoother than the Pioneer Woman does too. So they're not bad hooks for the money, put it that way. Then this one, I do not remember whether I had a clover or a Bates hook, and I know you can usually tell by the way the ends are shaped, but I honestly, this one's a clover, I know. So these might be clover because this one might be a Bates because it's got a sharper edge. This one I like the handle. You can actually choose where the handle lands. You can have it land lower. I had mine land as high as I could. This is a nice smooth hook. Again, I do not remember whether it's a clover or a Bates, and it works quite nicely. Nice and smooth through the fabric, and you've got that nice handle. And then this one is the one that I said, you've got all these little designs on it. So the hook itself, not bad. It's just not something, it's much more decorative than anything. And a lot of people are making these and buying them with all the different fun things on them. I even tried to make one myself one time. A lot harder than you realize. And I actually have two that were made by other people, this one and another one, and they're really fun and cute, but they're not something I would use every day just because they are awkward. So you can see for me, I'm holding right where that ribbon of yarn is. My finger is rubbing against some of the berries. The hook itself is slightly more toothy than the last one. So that is a little bit on each one of these hooks. And if I were to rank them, I think I would do Okay, if I'm ranking them, this is what I would say. Odyssey, of course, is my favorite, but like I said, you can't get it anymore. Next would be the furls. Honestly, my favorite is the metal because they are the sleekest, but even their wood and their resin hooks are still really nice and smooth. They have a very high quality. Then the Prim, which, like I said, when I bought it, is surprising to me. I actually just bought my sister-in-law 3 of them because she ended up really liking it too. So I'm very happily surprised by the Prim. It's one I can run to the store and get. It's got a nice ergonomic handle and it actually works really nicely. Then is my go-to Clover when I can't get any of the others. I have 2 of her hooks with these handles, and this is really a lot because of the handle. Like I said, you get to choose whether you have Clover, Bates, or whatever, so if you have a preferred hook. Then I would say the Fire. I do like the way it is shaped and everything, but it really bugs me that it catches so much as it goes through the yarn, and I have 2 of these. I bought 2 of them. Then the Pioneer Women. It actually works pretty well. I keep that in my right where I can reach them, that one and this one. So these 2 sets I have nearby where I can use them if I need to. Then would be this Big Twist. I think I would only use this Big Twist if I was really desperate for a hook and didn't have another one. I mean, it's not, I have metal hooks that are, you know, your basic thin metal hooks. I do have a bunch of those. I never use them because I can only crochet for maybe an hour with a really thin hook. So I would probably pick this one up before I would go find one of those. But I really wouldn't want to. And then would be this one, and that would be the same thing. I do not like the way they rub on your fingers, the way they feel when you're holding them. I don't particularly care for the toothiness of this one, though I don't mind it on this one. I don't know what the difference is, and I mean, I can feel it, but there's something about these ones that they still are nice when they go through your fabric. So that is my lineup. That is the why I feel the way I do about the different hooks. So when I talk about my go-to furls, you now know why I really like my furls hooks. And they are, yeah, they're really nice. They just have a very nice quality to them. But now, like their metal ones, their Odysseys were always more. Their metal ones are a little bit cheaper than what the Odysseys had been, but they are still a little bit more than their resin and their wood. So these really are not too bad when it comes to price, and if you buy the Oopsies in the resin, they're still very pretty. They just, maybe they were supposed to have a little ribbon of white in here and didn't end up with that ribbon. Something is different. So they sell them at a much cheaper price. So it's great when you can do that, and they do occasionally have sales. So you can always be on the lookout. If you sign up for their email, then you'll get those notices. And I'm not affiliated with any of these at all. So if you're not wanting to invest in these, then I would go for the Prim or the Clover. And so price-wise, this is probably about twice what you would pay for this, and this one I think is a little cheaper. And when you go in, you use a coupon if they're not on sale, and you can get, you know, Michael's and Joann's and stuff, and you can get them even cheaper. So there you go. If you're on a budget, then these are the ones I would go for, your Clover or your Prim. Fire, price-wise, they're not bad. Again, it's the biggest thing is just the way that hook catches. I don't like the way that hook catches. I had been planning to also show you one from the dollar store, but I had not been able to find one. So you do not have a dollar store one in here. But of course, you know, you can get them for $1.25, then you can always try it out. So I hope this helps as you're trying to figure out if you want to invest in some of the better crochet hooks or not. You know, and everybody's going to be a little bit different, which is one of the reasons I decided to do this, because there's other people who've done reviews, and everybody is going to have a different feel as to what they like in their hands. I will say Furls is a very, very popular hook. But on that same hand, I've seen a number of people who do like the Fire. And some people are very particular to just using a basic clover. Those are probably the ones I see the most. But you know, there's so many different ones out there, and I tried to have a very broad range. So ultimately, what did I end up with? Because I pulled a couple more out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, and if you count the other two, the Furls ones I had here, then that would have been like 12. But that gives you a bit of a range on different crochet hooks and what might work best for you. There's so many other ones out there. I mean, I have this one I got just for the fun of it one time because of the carved wood handle. That was before my husband started making them. Plus I have my husband's. I have ones like this that I actually carved myself. I have old ones that had belonged to my mom and my great grandmother. You've got your basic plastic ones, and this one here, my son actually 3D printed me the handle a long time ago, and then I put a bamboo hook into it. This one might have been a G. I probably could have used that one, but and here this one's actually got a little bit wider handle, so I really like the size of the handle, but I still I lean towards the metal ended Furls as my favorites. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, please click like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye.